What is happening, everyone? This is Jim from RC After Dark. I want to talk with you all today about getting more flex out of your RC trailer hitch. Sitting before us, we have a Traxxas TRX4 Bronco, and behind it is a relatively cost-effective off-road trailer. That's my brother's trailer. He recently ordered that from Wish.com. I believe he paid less than $60 US for it. All steel construction, wire basket frame, 1.9 steel aluminum wheels, ball bearings in the hubs, leaf spring suspension, fenders mounted directly to the axle, so they move with the axle. Nice little trailer, relatively cost effective on that. Now the trailer hitch that this trailer came with was basically a little suspension end link here, or a shock end link, or a steering rod end link, and that was screwed directly onto the end of the trailer, which was supposed to be bolted right to the hitch receiver. Now, I put an O-ring underneath this when I first bolted it up, guys, and I gotta tell you, the range of motion is very limited on this before it starts to bottom out on the hitch receiver. So you really don't get too much side to side and very little up and down, which means it's basically useless for going off-road. Nice solid mount, pain in the butt factor for putting a screw in every time you gotta hook it up. On the truck currently, guys, we have a KYX aluminum rear bumper. This was also ordered from Wish.com. I believe we paid less than $25 for these. It came with the aluminum hitch receiver and this ball right here, this brass ball. Now with this, guys, we get a little bit more motion out of it as far as range of motion, just because the ball is higher up or higher off the hitch. So it gives the end link here a lot more motion. And we'll demonstrate that. So looking at the range of motion here, holding it straight, that would be our upward motion, back down, and side to side, which isn't too bad really. But if you start going on too much of an extreme angle, this is just going to pop right off of here, and you lost your trailer. But still, definitely a better design than what it came with the metal end link, and there's just not much motion there. What I have came up with, guys, and what I've been using is a drive shaft universal. Now this one is off of a WLtoys 10428. So if you need to get one, Google WLtoys 10428 drive shaft, and that's probably a quick and easy way of finding one of these if you don't have one. You could use one from like a Vatera Twin Hammers. This is an NTG aluminum drive shaft. Don't use this. This is just for an example. This one is permanently mounted to the drive shaft, so it cannot be removed. But a stock Twin Hammers drive shaft will work. It's very similar to the WLtoys. The ball portion of the drive shaft, or of the coupler here for the end link, or for the universal, sorry about that, fits right into the end of the drive shaft. And there's a Allen screw at the bottom. You just unscrew that, and that slides right out. And I removed a little bit of material off the end of that. That is threaded. And you're going to need to keep some thread, so you can't cut it too short. You have to leave a little bit of room on the end of the ball so you can maintain some threads there. Because you're going to be reusing the screw out of that drive shaft to install it onto the hitch receiver. Now since this is one piece, guys, when it's all pinned together, it's one piece. So the top portion is not going to rotate from side to side on the bottom portion like a standard hitch ball. The whole thing rotates as one unit. That being said, that's why you have to leave just enough thread on here that you can screw into it and grab it. And you need to have the screw length just right, so you don't have too much slop on the ball. It needs to be relatively tight but not too sloppy, because at this point in time the ball is rotating inside the receiver. So that is your new side to side movement there from left to right. So like I said, you got to leave enough thread in there and have the perfect length screw to get it done correctly. And I use an O-ring underneath this between the receiver and the hitch ball, just to give it a little bit of a cushion there. Try to get it to zoom in. So you can see that I just left like a 1/16 of an inch of metal here on the end of this, just so I have a little bit of thread on that. And there's a better angle on that. Just left a little bit of material on the end of this. And that is screwed down tight, but still has enough room to turn from side to side inside the receiver. And now getting a look at the suspension travel or amount of swing that we have with the hitch. There's our vertical swing. Well, our upward motion. Here's our downward. Get quite a bit from side to side, which you're not really getting a good angle on, but there you go, a little bit of side to side motion with that. Well, here's a better shot, guys. There's our side to side motion, which is a lot better than what it was using the stock system. And then with this particular setup, since this part, the top end of the universal is screwed directly onto the tongue on the trailer, we get the added benefit of being able to flip it right over and still be connected. And that's why I use the WLtoys drive shaft universal on this particular setup, just because the grub screws are larger for the WLtoys versus the grub screws for a Viterra twin hammers. Oops, sorry about that, guys. Trying to get the focus in on it. The grub screw, relatively small grub screw on that. So with like a Viterra drive shaft, you would have to drill this out and tap it out so that it would thread onto the end of the trailer. But the WLtoys has a fatter grub screw in it, and it just happens to be the exact same thread as what it is on the trailer, so it just threaded right on there. Relatively easy to hook up, and I'll demonstrate that for you guys real quick here. It's just held together with a hairpin, and the hairpin is basically taking the place of the universal pin. Oops. That guy right down there. So that's where we're just using a body pin and going right through the center to pin it back together. And there's a good look at our body pin right there. Easy to remove. Trailer's disconnected. Relatively easy to hook back up. Just plop it back down over top of it. Slide the pin back through the hole, and you're all good to go. So it hooks up relatively easy, disconnects even easier, and has all kinds of articulation. Now the boat trailer that I did, I also use the same kind of setup on my RC boat trailer for my NQD jet boat. And that one's hooked up a little bit differently and has a lot more up and down flex just by the way that it's hooked up on that. So I'll give you a quick peek at that one here so you can see what it looks like. Well, alrighty, we got the NQD out. Taking a look at the receiver on this one, or the hitch on this one. This particular setup, custom mounting all the way here on this. This end of the drive shaft universal is off of a Viterra twin hammers. This is a stock Viterra twin hammers drive shaft universal. I've got this one hooked up horizontally. Just ran a screw right through it to hold it in place. The brackets are leaf spring hangers off of a trail finder too. So that's how this one's hooked up to the trailer itself. Just because this trailer frame was very limited on how you could hook up a hitch to it, being that it's 3D printed plastic, so my options were limited, and this is what I came up with for it. But we'll get this one hooked up real quick, and you can see what kind of flex we're getting out of the boat trailer. Alright, so we got that hooked up, all pinned in place. Since this one is mounted horizontal on the receiver, or on the tongue of the trailer, the pin goes through from front to back. On the other one, the drive shaft universal is spun vertical, so the pin goes through sideways. But with this one, I can show you the range of motion that it's getting currently. Little bit of slop right there, but it's not that big of a deal. You start moving forward, and it's, you know, dragging behind normal. Start backing up, and it's normal again. You just have a little bit of slop there from that universal. But as far as flex goes, we can bring the trailer completely vertical up to the back of the truck. Same if you're like cresting a hill. It's all kinds of flex with it. And then once again, you get all kinds of side-to-side motion as well. You can actually lay the boat trailer right over on its side, and it's still hooked up fine. So you get all kinds of movement left to right on that. Sorry once again for the poor views here, guys. excellent little hitch for going off-road. Alrighty guys, with the hitch disconnected or the trailer disconnected, give you a little side angle there. We're basically sliding a hairpin right through this little joint, just like so, and the hairpin is connecting it together. And back to the little off-road trailer. Once again, you can see how the drive shaft universal is just screwed right onto the tongue of the trailer. Sorry for stumbling around there. And that just threads right on. Which is, once again, you can see that big fat grub screw, or the big fat hole for the grub screw there, in comparison with a twin hammer style. So the grub screw is a lot smaller on a twin hammer. So if you have this style trailer with a, threaded rod on the end of it for the trailer tongue, and it's got that big fat thread on it, a WLtoys drive shaft universal will thread right on there. So that saves the problem of tapping this out and drilling this out and retapping it for the larger thread. So yeah, WLtoys 10428 drive shaft universal. And hooking it up is just a relatively easy. Make sure that your holes are lined up with the pin going through with the little with the center of the drive shaft universal, and then just slide your hairpin through it. And we'll try to do this on camera, guys, but my workbench space here is very limited. Oops, flying blind. And there we go. She is all hooked up. And there you go. We got her all hooked back up to the trailer, and she is ready for the next off-road adventure. If you'd like to see a more in-depth look on how I came up with this hitch idea, I also did a video for my NQD boat trailer. So that is buried inside my video collection on YouTube. Feel free to scroll down through the videos, and you'll be able to find that. And I give a little bit more in-depth walkthrough on how I came up with the whole idea. But that's going to do it, guys. Hopefully you found the video informative and helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment, and I'll help you out the best that I can. So that's going to do it, everyone. Thanks for watching. We'll see you all in the next one.